gratitude, I think, is the highest form of acceptance. And acceptance brings us to wholeness. And it is through the acceptance of ourselves and our lived experiences, good, bad, ugly, that we find our wholeness.
So you said two things there that mean something to me: expansion and wholeness. So could you expand on that? What does that mean to you?
Okay, so I'm going to share another quote now.
I'm glad you did your homework. You came prepared.
So this is from Father Gregory Boyle. He's a very powerful spiritual thought leader for me. I get a lot of inspiration from his work. He says, God can get tiny if we're not careful. I'm certain we all have an image of God that becomes the touchstone, the controlling principle to which we return when we stray. And he goes on in the book Tattoos on the Heart to explain how he imagined himself just outside the reaching fingertips of God. Like, God loves us, but I'm somehow just outside of the us. And then he described, well, then I had to accept, well, God loves me. And I sort of just imagined God like, okay, well, if I have to, I'll love you, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
is
then,
this you having this, or is this him
this
describing?
is Father Gregory Boyle describing his experience. But I love it so much because it's my own experience. Yeah. And then you say, okay, well, if you insist, God, you love me too. But then he says, well, then who can explain the next moment when the utter fullness of God rushes in on you? When you completely know the one in whom you move and live and have your being, you see then that it has been God's joy to love you all along. And this is completely new. So he moved from being outside of God's love to being begrudgingly inside of God's love to being like fully embraced, and like it's God's delight to love me. So you can see how that image or model of God shifted for him over time. And he quotes Meister Eckhart, who says, God is greater than God. And he goes on, Father Gregory Boyle goes on and says, the hope is that our sense of God will grow as expansive as our God is. Each tiny conception gets obliterated as we discover more and more the God who is always greater. God, I guess, is more expansive than every image we think rhymes with God. How much greater is the God we have than the one we think we have? And so, to me, that's what I love about science. That's what I love about spirituality is I get to obliterate all of my tiny conceptions about myself, the world around me, and God is ultimately how I relate to all of those things, right? It's through God that I have my lens set for the world. So this is where I think gratitude plays a crucial role in our lives.